for effective governance through emerging technologies. I think we have all been talking about startups and a lot of other, technologies that are currently running in the country. This becomes a really, really interesting topic. Calling on the dais, the moderator, Mr. Sudhir Kudwali, partner, digital customer and marketing consulting, Deloitte, India. Huge round of applause. Uh, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, who's the IPS Principal Secretary, Department of Information and Technology and Electronics, Government of West Bengal. A huge round of applause. Shri Naveen Mittalji, who's the IAS Commissioner, Collegiate Education, Government of Telangana. Huge round of applause for Mr. Naveen Mittal. Mr. Saurav Endley, IRSME Joint Secretary, Development of Northeastern Region, Government of India. Huge round of applause. Mr. Snehal Kumar Singh, IAS Director, Kerala State IT Mission, Department of Electronic and Information Technology, Government of Kerala. He'll soon be joining in. Mr. Rupesh Kumar, IAS, Director, Department of Information Technology, Administration of Chandigarh. A huge round of applause for Mr. Rupesh Kumar. Shri Yogendra Sharma ji, who's the Secretary, Department of Information Technology, Government of Sikkim. Madam Rama Devi ji, who is the Director and OSD Emerging Technology and IT, Electronics and Communication Department, Government of Telangana. Huge round of applause for Rama Devi ma'am. Mr. Amit Bansal, Regional Manager, Public Sector, HPE India. I know we are nearing lunch, but we can still have a little more of this energy. Mr. Amit Lal, Public Sector Lead Fresh Work. A huge round of applause. Can we have some energy in the house? Ms. Vijaya S, Business Lead, South India State and Local Government, AWS India. Huge round of applause. Sudhir sir, this panel is completely yours. Please take it away. I think this is one of the most amazing discussions that we're going to have today.
Very, very good time of the day. Maybe all of us are hungry, or hopefully we'll be able to have a good conversation before we head into a very nice lunch outside. So good afternoon, all of you. So very, very nice having this discussion, right? So we have a panel which says digital transformation. I think that especially in the post-COVID world, that's a term that everyone has been using, like abusing, whatever we would want to call it. But how do we look at digital government transformation, and how do we use it? How do we use emerging technologies for better governance and effective governance? I think that's what all of us will have a quick conversation about, right? So digital transformation is something that is happening everywhere. Everyone is changing. Government is looking at, has already been using technology. How do you effectively leverage and drive a lot of digital transformation in the sense of delivering complex missions is what I think all of you are moving towards. So how do we now imbibe, for example, the moving beyond the standard technology, leveraging digital technologies, emerging technologies into the organization and culture, and making ourselves digital government organizations? I think that is what will define how government services, citizen services are being leveraged. I think that's how I would want to take the conversation forward. Maybe we'll start with Mr. Saurabh today. Saurabh, you're the secretary from on the Northeast region, right? So a lot of the development efforts, the policy execution, implementation, all of that is under the ministry. You've recently, along with MeetY, brought out a vision document on the digital aspirations of the region. Can you just give all of us a view on how do you see emerging technologies helping the region, transforming the region, right? I think we had Mr. Anurag talk about some of them already in the morning, but I think it will be great to hear from you on that point.
dais. And friends, as compared to most of the states and other officials who came here before me, I'm here more to listen because I represent the 8 northeastern states along with Anurag from Assam and Yogen from Sikkim. I think we're the only 3 people here vested in those areas. So rather than talking about policy, we have come up with a document, and we've also come up with a document for sustainable development goals at the district level and all. But rather than talking about that, I would like to use this platform to to channelize the thought process of the industry and the government in certain areas which need focus in a different manner, so that all states and all people benefit equally rather than there being piecemeal interventions. So for example, and a lot of people, I'm from the Indian Railways, I'm a mechanical engineer. So I mean, a lot of people talked about some railway examples. My talk is also, being a railway man, going to be peppered with some railway examples. I'll try to keep it short. I would like to start with one example. We talked about citizen-based services and a single portal for one citizen to access everything. But my mother, who's 91 years old, still cannot connect her Aadhaar card to her PAN card. And that is because fingerprints don't work after a particular age. And I've been trying for so many years, but I have not managed to do it. Now, the point here is that we still look at a citizen and a service like a person has to apply for a ration card. My mother has to apply to combine the Aadhaar with the PAN card. Why? But maybe maybe it's time for the government to start thinking about, have all our citizens managed to match their Aadhaar cards with their PAN cards? And if not, what is the problem? Why is everybody not able to do it? Maybe the approach should be slightly different. That should be the policy, I guess, underlying policy. Then also the industry, between the industry and the government, have we become too complacent when we reach 90% targets? A complacency example from the railway. Suppose it is more than 150 years old. Supposing you had invested 100 rupees in the Indian Railways in the 1850s. Your year-on-year return today would maybe, let's say, what, 1 or 2% per year? Is that good enough? No. Why? Because the British made the system for a particular reason, and it was straitjacketed into thinking for that reason. There was no innovation involved, nothing. Till for 100 years, while the railways were still under the British, that's what happened. We are mired in that system. But let's say when Infosys was started by 6 pioneers, they were scared to what they were doing. So the industry also needs to think, 10% of your business needs to scare you. So only then will you come up with questions which answer such challenges. That why are we, when we do a service, why do we finish with 90% of the population? And then we talked about scalability in the beginning, and I'm glad Mr. Murthy brought up the issue that a solution for one state, why should it not be scalable to another? It's true. And now I'll give you my last example. This one's from the railways. We were trying to make a system where for wagon maintenance and asset management software we were developing, and we tried with the industry, with industry leaders in ERP and system integrators, and they failed over a period of 3 years, and I had to tell them politely to go. And then what happened? Because they were trying to sell us a product. They were not trying to look at what the ground reality, what is the solution I needed. So when we started thinking about it, the first thing that came up was that in our yards we don't have connectivity, or we have intermittent connectivity. So how do I look for a solution where I have to be on the cloud and connected all the time? Then the other problem was, it's a 150-year-old system. Why is he going to change? What are we offering him? So we went to Bhusawal, freight maintenance yard, and we asked them, and we didn't even ask them, we stayed there. Me and my 6-member team, I didn't have any money for the project, I only had 6 software engineers. And we asked them, that we observed, we realized that there's a brake pass certificate, which is the authority for the train to travel. To generate that, it's a paper document, one person has to go to the yard, then he has to go to the guard of the train, and then he has to go to the driver of the train, and a 50 wagon train is more than a kilometer long. So one document generated needs 3 kilometers of walking for him. So how do we do? What app do we give him, which has to work intermittently? So we said, fine, we are going to make disconnected apps, and we're going to code it ourselves on Android. And 1 month, it took us about a month, and we developed that, and we said, whatever paper you have, throw it away, use this system. And over a period of a month, they started using it. And while the system was still stabilizing a month later, what happens? My hardware guy comes and says, I need 2 more servers. I said, why? He said, because there are 40 other wagon depots and 2,500 users already using this system. And I hadn't marketed it, I hadn't told anyone. Why did this happen? Because when I started, I told these people that, we need to make a system like Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel. You don't need to have you can use it from anywhere. Anybody can use it. You don't need to log on, or even if you do log on, I mean, anybody can use it, right? It's meant for everyone. So that is what I mean by scalability. Let's say if Madhya Pradesh is doing an excellent job in citizen in services, but can I use your software directly to do the same thing in the northeastern states? So this is what I would like to, present as a challenge to the industry and to the state governments, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think it's very important, like you said, how do we replicate success across the country and make it scalable? I think that's the key takeaway for us. Mr. Rajiv, so if we were to look at it from a government of Bengal perspective, right, where there's a lot of IT ecosystem already there. What's if you can give us some insights into what's happening within your state and under your thing, and how are you trying to build a strategy or a roadmap to look at government services just beyond the standard efficiency? Is there a fundamental transformation journey that you're doing on service delivery? Any examples of what's happening in your region?
Okay, first of all, I'll start with the positive side, because in the sense that in the first session we heard a lot of speakers talking about what good work is being done across the states. And the digital journey has been same in West Bengal also, in the sense that initially we started automizing the processes, and then we started publishing things on websites. All departments started having websites suddenly, and then we moved on to public-centric services. But will we call it digital transformation? I would hesitate to do so. That because our approach was more sporadic, I would say. It was not really with a strategy or some kind of that culture, because digital transformation is about culture. It is not digital adoption of technology. So the issue as which we I would like to bring here is there's a book. It's a very famous book, Art of War. Some of you must have heard about it, by Sun Tzu. He says a line which he says, strategy without tactics is slowest form to victory, and tactics without a strategy is noise before defeat. So in case if we really want to have digital transformation, we need to have a proper strategy rather than, it's really required. That's the way it has to proceed, that we should have certain good work being done in different sectors, and then we take it along. We learn more from our failures than our successes. So I would try to, before touching on our failures, we'll just give you a brief this thing about the background, about the work which the West Bengal is doing. We have a integrated financial management system which is working for last 5 years, and it is 99.99% of all transactions within the government happens through that e-portal. We have e-Abkari, which has been replicated across 9 states. Tamil Nadu will be doing it very, very recently. They have discarded their own system, and they're taking it up. It's been replicated, including the Odisha. So, and there are a lot of other good stories, but I would like to come to that, the part which we say, our failures. Our failure has been, as I said, we have not been able to make, we have not been able to promote the digital culture so that we get into the digital transformation side. It has been because the data, the person who's we talk about AI ML, but AI ML is all right, but what about the data? The data, where is it coming from? I'll give you an example, again, of our failures. When we started, we wanted to do something in the health. We were doing at one place, one of the nurse who was supposed to take the weight of the babies and record it into the system, we found that all the babies were being given 2.5 kg weight, all born on the same day. They were so. We also need to look at we really found out what is wrong with it. How can we improve it? It is basically the person who is providing the data. It should make his life simpler. Like my previous speaker who spoke about, we need to take the digitization or digital adoption should benefit the person on the ground first, and then the top management. We can make good decisions if that digitization has helped the person on the ground, and then only he will feed good data. That's one. Second is about how do we share the data across, which is we have got two policies, as I was talking about the strategy, two policies. One is West Bengal State Public Transactional Data Sharing Guidelines. This is policy in 2020 we brought. So how do we share data across the departments? We don't share. We are like, all of us think we are doing great job, but we don't share across the department. Also, we don't share with the public. So if somebody wants to do something in the health department, will the data be available? In which form this data will be available? How it will be anonymized so that there are no legal implications? How the privacy will be maintained? All those issues are there. And then there is also West Bengal Electronic Data Retention and State Data Center Storage Policy. These two guidelines we have brought in so that the departments can really share data across. One of the design perspective, which I was also talking about, I will also just touch upon that security part. You see, we talk about we are doing very great, that's all right. I'm again trying to focus on the negatives. If we say that of the total volume of e-commerce as compared to total commerce in the mom and pop stores, in China is 51%, 51% of the total trade, and we are 1.7% or so. Their e-commerce trade is $3 billion, which is more than the total our GDP. So why it is happening? It is not because we can handle apps, we have very good mobile penetration, but the issue remains, we are not comfortable, and let me tell you, I think we have two-way authentication for our cards. I think we must be the safest, if you see the process-wise. But we have not been able to communicate. Some of us, and most of us, don't feel comfortable using our credit cards or debit cards or this thing or this. So, the digital transformation, we are a little away from that. We are adopting technology, but as I said, we will need to put strategy into place or some kind of policy framework so that we can really transform and we can really take this. I'll just take one example of this thing which we did in last 2-3 months we are doing. It's an international checkpost borders where there are a lot of agencies. Just to stress upon that point of digital adoption we are doing, but are we moving towards the digital transformation phase? There's a BSF, there is customs, there is CWC, there is a Bangladesh custom. All of them were having software, and those software only cater to their senior management. They don't talk to the truck drivers or the people who exporters, very little. So they're all centric in such a way, all of them, and they were not talking to each other. We have put on a system very recently using even we have got the FASTag also implemented there so that the trucks can be identified. Now, just the process, it was a 40 to 50 days delay for the exporters. On that land check post, now it is a single day delay. It's like you can go the same day. And it is generating a revenue. We have just started a pilot. is generating a revenue of 50 lakh rupees per day from one check post. We have, and West Bengal being in a position where we have all the 3 international borders and land ports. There are a lot of 7 land ports here. We want to take it all the ICPs. My point was saying that as leaders we need to think, we are adopting technologies in all our spheres, but are we really moving into that where we are really thinking from that point? We need to think, we need to build that culture of digital transformation where the person on the ground has to be the first focus. Thank you very much. I think.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rajiv. A lot of work around digital literacy. What are your views as digital literacy, vernacular digital literacy? I think that is going to be also an important differentiator for us because we'll have scale. We are moving towards a digital world as India. So what are your views there, and are you using any use cases, priorities, leveraging emerging technologies in this digital literacy space? Just good views around that.
So I think that's a very, very important question because when we are talking about digital transformation, you can't have digital transformation until you have digitally literate citizens. And it's at multiple levels. So digital literacy, if you really ask me, the entire gamut of it ranges from a citizen who's, let's say, living in a village, being able to access these services through a mobile device or any other available device around. So from that extreme, I would also say that digital literacy also accounts for the person who may be otherwise very literate, maybe even a graduate, but then is he able to do work on a device. And we are very conscious of that fact and handling it at multiple levels. For example, if I can tell you the highest end of the spectrum, the area which I'm handling in space of higher and technical education, in last 2 years we have added nearly about 25,000 seats in our engineering colleges in emerging technologies. In fact, I can tell you Telangana today accounts for about 20% of India's engineering seats in emerging technologies, that is artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, cybersecurity, robotics, Internet of Things. So we are at the top, in the sense a major share of the country is in Telangana in terms of the highest end of the spectrum. So that is one end. Two is in our colleges, which primarily are non-engineering colleges. Again, there's a huge emphasis on IT usage. For example, I can tell you that almost 77% of our students in commerce education do become computer applications. And nearly about 70% plus of our physical science BSc students take up computer science as an optional for their studies. Apart from it, computers has become an integral part of our curriculum. So we sat down and looked at our entire curriculum. In 2019, we brought in the skills which are really required for a student to do well when he or she comes out of the campus. We listed them out, and we said that IT is one of the most important skills. And we ensured that every single student in our colleges undergoes a basic course as well as a more advanced course in computer applications through the 3 years of their degree. So that is the second level of it. The third one is that in the state, we are also focusing immensely on integrating computer education in our schools, so that the students who are studying, when they are progressing, they must have inherent capacity in terms of computer skills, because they are going to be the citizens of tomorrow. So that's on the education side. Now you talked about vernacular language also. And I think that is something which is now possible compared to what the scenario was, let's say, a few years back in time. Today, almost all major platforms, whether you talk of Android platform or any other computer operating system platform, gives you inherent capacity and power to use vernacular language to do the work. In fact, in most of our government services also, we are trying to ensure that the services where citizens interact, those websites, those platforms are also, apart from being English, because they've traditionally been so, they also are on the Telugu language, which is our prime language, and also integrating other Indian languages also wherever possible. So I think it's a very important area of work for almost, I would say, all governments, and one has to really tackle it from one extreme to the other extreme. That is from the cutting edge highest level to the lowest of the levels, where a basic citizen also is able to be digitally literate in terms of utilizing services, whether from the government or also from the private sector.
I think that's a very important foundational requirement. So it's a great perspective. Mr. Snail, moving on over to you. We spoke of digital government transformation. Sometimes government has been using technology for many years. Standard modernization of existing systems itself gets sometimes confused as digital transformation. So because that is just a product evolution or an end of life of a product, so those things continue. How, for a successful digital transformation, especially in the government space, you will need a lot more aspects. You need to have a governance, you need to have a very clear strategy, a culture, your workforce, your customer efficiency. How are you in your space trying to ensure that this holistic approach comes and helps deliver the right results?
Yeah, so see, as my other seniors have already pointed out, and I completely echo with the fact that digital transformations are maybe driven through some emerging technologies, maybe a very basic platform. Let's presume Microsoft Excel, and talking about AI using blockchain. But actually, when we're looking at the core government functions, the citizen really doesn't care. It doesn't matter if this application was developed on .NET or on Python. What matters is that the last mile connectivity, in the sense that the citizen is able to avail that service in a very simplistic manner, and that is where our gaps are always identified. And I think Kerala has been little more proactive by making these citizen service centers called Akshaya centers, in which the whole purpose of Akshaya center was that any person can go there and avail any kind of citizen service. Now, when we are talking about developing new applications, let us presume we have created a unified platform for service delivery right now in Kerala. I do not have to train all my citizens to do that, because the digitally literate people will automatically understand how to do it, how to avail a particular service. And which brings me to the fact that our Akshaya centers are competent enough to actually help and assist people who are not able to do that. Second part of the transformation is how we design those applications. When we are designing those applications, are we making it back-end integration in terms of, and we have incredible tools right now for governance. We have Aadhaar, we have DigiLocker, which can actually revolutionize and has already done so. We have designed products which need not upload 5 different documents. It can automatically pick up data from the back-end servers. And if the application that we're designing now also requires 50 different entries to be pulled up by the citizen, I don't see that that application is good enough, even if it is a very complicated or a very advanced technology which is being used. So for that particular problem, I feel that we are at least working in the right direction, where we are working on a system where all the databases are talking to each other. And as rightly pointed out, that the development of applications over past 20, 30 years has happened in silos. And we can't blame any department or any government for that, because that is how the way it was. let's say GST must have done it something else. The dairy development department has done some different application. Ration distribution has done some different application. And now everybody is coming to that realization that we really need to integrate at backend so that the effort and the opportunity cost for building new applications, for running those applications comes down. We want to create a unified registry in the state of Kerala which does a backend integration for databases using certain reference IDs, which will also have a layer of citizen interaction. So when we're talking about predictive governance, this is what we're thinking, that a citizen who is supposed to get, let us presume, a certificate at the age of 18, that citizen should get a pop-up and that certificate should automatically be issued if everything is verified. And I really feel that we are really close on developing a very cohesive system. And in government, the problem is that it is having a lot of inhibition from both citizens as well as the government department themselves. And that is where I think that transformation has to come up, where the acceptance of the digital services of the applications happens not only at citizen level, but at the government official levels also. Because we need not think that the application is ready, but the person who is supposed to do that is not even willing to say that, okay, sir, this is not okay, we don't want to do that. So I feel it has to be driven at all the three elements. The application side, it has to be matured enough, it has to talk to each other. The people who are giving out the service, the application, the officials, the Akshaya centers, the citizen service centers, they need to be trained enough, because I'm not expecting that it should be completely, automated driven or citizen can automatically do always. There will always be a percentage of people who are not really digitally friendly in dealing with those services. And at the last, trying to minimize the efforts of citizens. So I think it has to be a cohesive strategy overall.
I think ensuring, like you said, the first point, how do we not look at the back-end application, but the end user requirement is what is critical. Moving on to you, Mr. Rupesh. We've all heard of AI, ML, and we know that the government has also started leveraging some of the AI, ML capabilities, right? But primarily we see AI capabilities being leveraged as of now around chatbots. How do you see from your space, especially in Chandigarh and all, how do we leverage technology, emerging technologies to make that as a digital platform for the entire city? Can we start correlating events? Can we start having better incident management? How do you use emerging technologies to help manage our cities better? Any thoughts on that?
First of all, good morning to all, the Honorable Minister, all the senior bureaucrats, all the industry people, and thanks for inviting me to have a discussion on this important topic. As asked by the moderator, I want to just brief about what is happening in Chandigarh right now. In Chandigarh, we are initiating ICCC, Integrated Command and Control Center, where we are using AI. As you are asking how the instance is happening, initially we were having 80 cameras across the city, which are meant for doing the chalaning purpose. Now we have installed 2,500 cameras across the city, and they are AI-based cameras. What we are doing, we are not just monitoring and doing the chalaning purpose, which is a traditional mode of doing. These cameras are, with the AI-based technology, what is happening, we are creating an instance for an unwanted, unidentified object which have been placed near the permanent places like the government buildings, schools, like a briefcase. We have trained the AI and given them the historical data and just trained them in a manner that if any briefcase, any bag is being placed over there, it can generate an alert and it will go to the police directly. Like the same thing is with the parkings, illegal parkings near the buildings, because we can't have a police personnel, traffic personnel stationed at each and every location. And another point where we are using this AI for this, we have just put in the cameras, and we are using it for the traffic management also. Visual analytics systems we are using. We have trained the like in many cities, what is happening, but as per our observation, that timers are there on the lights. And if the traffic is less, the red light is turning into green. And for this, many the systems are doing, they are just turning the red light into green light. And the person who is on the vehicle doesn't know when he or she has to move. This is just a sort of, he has to be vigilant at the time. But instead of creating that chaos, we are putting in a skip system. And rather than if there is a light of 45 seconds, we are reducing initially to 30 seconds and not beyond the 15 seconds, so that person should have the time to move. And we are just reflecting the skip indicator over there, that your time being going to be skipped. And another thing what we are doing over there in this context only, we are creating that if any accident is happening or a breakdown on a light, the AI itself is putting an indicator that this has happened, because when the vehicles are moving and any vehicle is stationed, the alert being generated to the police department. And if they verify that is an accident, and they from there automatically the alert is going to the health department, so that they can route the ambulance over there to help the citizens. And this is one thing. And as I will like to point out one thing which we are working upon, as pointed out by one of the speaker, why people should use these services if they are not getting the benefit. As sir has also said, that what is happening, we are not able to realize what the citizen demands and why, what is the analytics behind that. In that context, what we are doing, we are like the example of the ration card. Right now we are working on that, that if some birth or death is happening, people, poor people are thinking why we should get our birth registered, uh, what benefit we are going to get. Now we are moving in a direction where the anyone got their kid registered on at the time of birth, their data will automatically will reflect in the DBT, that is direct benefit transfer. Ration card will be, his name or her name will be in the ration card, and they will start getting the benefit. And moving ahead towards this, we are thinking that it will automatically go to the school education and other departments where it is required. Supposingly a death is happening, the data from that department, if the person is getting himself or herself family member registered over there, then the benefit of this Jan Arogya, PM Jan Arogya insurance scheme and other schemes will automatically go to the banks, and people will get the benefit of that. In this way, the integration of the systems and the systems API software talking with each other will help the citizens. That's why encouraging them to enroll in these systems. And thank you so much for.
Thank you. Thank you. Very. Moving on to Mr. Yogendra. Uh, During the COVID times, I think COVID made a lot of organizations, including the government, to move away from just doing digital at the outer edge, but continuing to work in legacy operating model, legacy operating systems, or ways of work. However, what COVID forced us was to move into a lot more digital aspects within the organization, in the culture, in the mindset. You would have seen that within your organization as well. So where do you think going forward, or in your horizon, what are the key areas where the focus should be to make the changes around ways of work? How do you enable digital ways of work, digital mindset, service delivery?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Honorable Minister, sir. Thank you for staying so long. Usually, after lighting the lamp, ministers usually leave. Thank you so much, sir. Because we need people in the administration to listen to us also sometimes. When I went for approval of my tour program to my chief secretary, he said, "Why do you want to go?" So I said, "Sir, it is in Telangana. I will learn something. That's why I want to go." So I am not here to actually teach. And like Saurav has already said, that Northeast the level playing field is slightly different. One thing which I've learned is the Fest app, sir, which I think can be used for making the other thing easier, sir. Not just because what Saurav said, of course, not the fingerprinting, but even getting your Aadhaar linked to a mobile number is such a tedious job, sir, which I think Fest can help with. So, as you are with the Government of India, sir, if you can slightly, because I myself, sir, I have not linked my Aadhaar with my mobile number. I went to the center. In the Northeast, sometimes internet is not, no link. So after no link, I have not gone. And if we take a survey here, how many people are not using DigiLocker because of that issue, sir? And mobile is something, SIM is something, sir, which gets lost. We older people tend to want our old number, but the younger kids, they'll just get another SIM for free and move on, sir. So first is one thing. Another thing is this, I'd like to meet CMARC from MP. I think that is one thing which I'd like to take to Sikkim. So I'll meet him afterwards. And then the Akshay centers from Kerala. Now, the Northeast, we have a different, we cannot, like ma'am said, pole vault. Even leapfrogging is difficult because of our skill set. The good ones are picked up by Amazon and Microsoft. So even the teachers we are getting are people who are all left behind. So, I mean, that is one thing where we have a problem. And another myth which I'd like to break is this thing about internet, information technology, database, and artificial intelligence. This we have been using since human intelligence started. This is not something new. That is why we sow the paddy when we sow the paddy. That time there was no internet, there was no artificial intelligence, no machinery, but everyone in the world was sowing their paddy when it needed to be sowed. That was because of the data that was collected over time by our elders. So it is not, and information, without information, I don't think we would be where we are. So I think we should bring it down to the layman's level. And because since morning we've been talking in using big words, jargons, but if we bring in our helpers from outside and sit them down, after two speakers, they'll go out like a bad movie. And we are all actually wanting to help them. So here again, as it is being discussed, three applications which I give prizes to. I'm also a mechanical engineer like Saurabh, maybe a little senior to him. We talk about, in mechanical design, foolproofing. So these three apps, I think, are foolproof. One is the Paisa Pay app, which you see everyone using it. He doesn't even have to have gone to school, but still uses the Paisa Pay app. Another, because Amazon is also sponsoring us, is the Amazon Marketplace. Everyone in India today, it could be from any strata, he will first look at that price. Even if he has to go to the shop, he will look at the price in the app and then go and bargain with the fellows. That is another foolproof app. And third, of course, is the Google Map Navigator. You can see everyone, you go to any small town, why didn't Beam take off? See, it is all about foolproofing. So that is, I think, the most. One thing, because you said it, 2 million hits, how many were actually done by the actual person? That needs to be studied. No. Internet cafes, you look at the IPs. In my state, I'll tell you, I will even give you the IP of the internet cafe, which has charged people for registering for the vaccinations. And we can, talk about how during the COVID times, a lot of digitization happened, but it happened on both ways. The hoarding of hospital beds were also because of technology. The hoarding of oxygen also were because of technology. So we have to be careful when we talk about technology. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Irwin. Madam, moving on to you, I think given your role as, just if you could elaborate a little more for the larger audience on how blockchain, drone city, all of these new emerging technologies that you have been able to use and get benefits out of. I think that will be great. So, yeah.
Sure, thank you. Am I audible? Yeah. After what sir has said, I'm a bit hesitant to speak. Well, and coming back to your question, for all the emerging technologies, as I said in the morning, we have a strategy, overarching strategy, where we come out with specific frameworks. Then we set up institutions for these technologies. Like for blockchain, we said it's a blockchain district. And for all these technologies, it's not just that the government works alone. We have partners for blockchain district. For every technology, we have partners from the industry, from academia, foundations, So for blockchain, we said blockchain district, and Tech Mahindra is our industry partner. ISB and IIIT Hyderabad are our academic partners. So for that's one. Then we set up institutions. We call them as Center of Excellences. For AI, we said Telangana AI Machine. It's again in partnership with NASCOM. For cybersecurity, we said Center of Excellence. And we hire, experts from the private sector. I mean, it's not who has expertise in these areas. It could be blockchain, AI, and who actually help us execute our frameworks. So that's about the strategy and implementation part. Coming to your specific question where, how do we actually scale up these projects, take up within the government is, we identify problem statements in the departments. It's not that we use technology for the sake of it, but we use technology to solve a particular problem or address a pain point. So we have brainstorming sessions with different departments to understand the problem statements and see how technology can solve that. It could be blockchain, AI, or anything. So once we identify that, we scout for solutions that are available out there. And we have multiple innovative ways, I would say, the way we scout for solutions from startup. It's as simple as reaching out to our T-Hub, which is an incubation center in Telangana. And sometimes when we don't get the right solution, we even actually post it on LinkedIn. In fact, the first AI solution that we posted about 2 years back, we got about 400 responses to it, from across India, even outside India. So once we get the right solution, we evaluate it, get the right solution, we go back to the department, show them, implement the pilot. Since as a lot of speakers have expressed, about the emerging technologies being new, so, and the challenges involved in it, we implement a pilot. Once the department gets that confidence, okay, this is going to really deliver a benefit, and it helps the department, then we scale it up. In fact, one successful project, and the other projects, but one successful project that I would like to mention is a blockchain project, which is developed by a startup in our own T-Hub. It's called T-Cheats. It actually helps in monitoring the chit fund companies. All of us know that many scams that happen in chit funds. A lot of, in fact, people from even lowest strata, they actually, they actually put in money in these chit funds. For example, my maid, hard-earned money, she has put in a chit fund where the chit fund companies actually duped her. So a lot of people lose money in that. So this is a very good tool that they've developed in helping the government to monitor all the chit funds. It's a beautiful one. In fact, we initially started off with 4 SROs, sub-registered officers. Once the department saw the value in it, they themselves came to us and said, let's actually scale it up for the entire state. Now it's actually rolled out across the state for all the SROs, and the dashboard is so beautiful. Earlier, it's such a contrast. Earlier, in these SROs where they monitor the chit funds, you would see files, lying in bags in those shelves. Somebody said in the morning, I think, sir. Now it's totally different. It's a dashboard that actually shows you the number of crores of rupees that are going into the turnover, which even nobody had imagined. That much money is actually going into chit funds. So this is just one example that I would like to share. And for all these startups, we would like, if they have the right product, we say, government would like to be the first customer. That's what we say. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us a very good view of how technology can change everyone's life here across the strata. So moving on to the people outside of the government ecosystem, Amit, Bansal, maybe to you. A lot of the large private organizations, large enterprises always say they will have customer at the heart of everything, and all of it is done with the customers perspective in mind, and that's where the trust factor comes in. So we're using a lot of technology, behavioral insights. So Amazon, I look at my past purchase, immediately you'll have things coming up, you'll have various things that comes up. Government leaders are also looking at it, government organizations also looking at similar ones. However, there is always a trust deficit or a trust gap when it comes to a similar aspect on government services, right? How do you see from your vantage point, how can government services also, with a lot of these are keeping citizen at the center of all of this. How do you see that evolving, and how can government significantly change the perception and make the difference?
Hi, good afternoon all. Good afternoon, Chief Minister. Good afternoon, dignitaries, and good afternoon, panel panelists. And I thank you for inviting me here for this panel. This is one of the very innovative panel that I could hear. We talked about the basic problem that is there on the field, and believe you me, the technology has been evolving over the period of time. And I take this example of the different inputs that have come in. Some states are way ahead in adopting digital technologies. Some states are really lacking because of the lackness of connectivity, as what the northeastern states said. But I feel my country is like a train, a long train. Some bogies at the front, which is running fast, and some bogies at the last. But everybody would reach the digital transformation journey once, taking the intelligence from each other. So now what I feel is government has taken a leap step. Yes, they have taken a leap step in the digital transformation, and they are really looking towards rethinking of how to have a proper governance to ensure that how those citizen services are being delivered through a medium of technology or through a medium of anything that can connect to the normal citizens. When it compares to the private companies like us who has taken that step towards ensuring that we are well entrenched to the technology, government has to really look at one thing, and that is the continuous development of applications, continuous augmentation of different applications, ease of use with the citizen services, so that their delight, their experience is enhanced on a daily basis. Where as a technology partner we can help, we can work together on a mutual platform and ensure that those citizen services are continuously enhanced and being delivered seamlessly. Now we talk about 5G rolling out, and I'm sure once that rollout happens, the other states which are disconnected right now will be well connected. I take an example of 10 years back when the Department of Post also ensured, they wanted to have the basic services delivered to the remotest part of the country through a digital transformation platform. They incepted a technology which is called the mobile terminal devices, where they set up the citizens, all the rural post offices was connected digitally through a 3G or a 4G SIM card that time, where a citizen can go and do his basic postal services like a Narega disbursement or a MIS or an RD. So that thing has been learned over the period of time. Now we see a leap advantage in connectivity reaching out to those states and to those locations. Those would really help the government to drive that services. First, and one more thing that we see in the private sector is the word, innovation. We also, as private sector, learn with what is going on, in the cities, within the customers, and that's the way we design our own technology, and that's the way we customize the platform to meet those specific requirements. So it's a handshake. What we feel that technology vendors like us and the government can work together, and we can enable those platforms to have those citizen-centric services. Because as I say, half of the population is connected. We are hyperly connected with a mobile phone, which is everybody can use. But yes, as I fully agree with Rajiv sir and Saurabh sir. People who are older in age, how do they use it? I see my mom. She's 75 years old. Used to have a QWERTY keypad. Very familiar with that. Now she has also changed. They are also learning fast. They also have an intelligence to learn. So it will take time, but they are learning. So that thing, how we can enable, how that government services can be reached out to those people who are actually who can't go to centers. I'm sure there are certain programs, there are initiatives that government are taking on those lines. Like I told 10 years back, we took those devices to the remotest parts of the country. It's like, we collectively and collaboratively we have to move together and see how we can take it forward. So as HP, we have those advisory services, those platforms which could enable those kind of platforms and services to make it happen.
Thank you, Amit. I think very valid points. Moving on to you, Vijaya. While we have all spoken about front-end citizen service delivery, the most important enabler for it will be the backbone